What's going on, JBros family? How is everybody doing today? All things Jester. Yes, all things 4 1/4 Jester on how you can fish this bait. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started into it, because as of right now, there's about 12 ways. I'm sure there'll be somebody out there that goes, Larry, what about this? What about that? And that's what I want you to do. I want you to comment it in the video here. Let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, JBros family, this is all things Jester, and we're going to be going over everything, or every way I know how to present our 4 1/4 Jester to these sometimes stingy largemouth. So what I want y'all to do, I want y'all to just hang in there with us, watch the full video, and tell me what you think. I want your honest opinion about this. So let's go ahead and just step through them one at a time. So I'm going to be a little long-winded, so hang in there. Okay, let's get started here. I think the 4 1/4 Jester is more commonly used as a trailer than a flipping bait or Nico rig, Texas rig, anything like that, or even a topwater bait. But let's go over the ways you can use the Jester as a trailer. Our number one option is a chatterbait trailer. A lot of folks love the 4 1/4 Jester being used as a chatterbait trailer. I like rigging the tails vertical, just like this. The bladed jigs, chatterbait, whatever you want to call them, but a lot of folks really love this combination with the Jester on a chatterbait. This is probably our number one way people use our 4 1/4 Jester. Now, let's keep moving on. I mean, I know we got a lot of jig fishermen out there. Jig fishermen. Now, you're like, Larry, that's an awful long body to be putting on a jig. And what did you do to it? Well, there's a couple modifications you can do. You can see this modification right here. I've taken and I've cut a little snippet out, and I've cut almost about half the body off here for this jig trailer, just so it can fit on there all nice, snug, perfect. Still gives you a good hook gap when you're driving at home in those thick weeds or those rock piles for those old largemouth that we're all after. Let's talk about a spinnerbait. Same deal here, y'all. Same deal. Let me zoom out here just a touch. But you got a spinnerbait trailer. Same deal. Rigging the tails vertical. Now, if you want to, once you put the bait on, you can add you a trailer hook out here. It will impede with some of the action here on the tails. Trailer hooks are a personal preference if you use them, but you can definitely use the Jester as a spinner bait trailer right there. All right, we all know what this is. This is a buzzbait. This is the Bushwhacker from Brazala Custom Lures. Danny builds a heck of a buzzbait here. This is the old style Bushwhacker. He has the M1 now that y'all need to go check out. It is a inline wire now, but definitely one of my go-tos for my buzzbaits is the old Jester right there. Oh yeah, I like that a lot. Now let's move on to all the other ways you can fish the Jester. All right, y'all, we're back. We are back, and look at this, 8 more choices. So we're up to 12 different ways you can present our 4 1/4 Jester to those pesky largemouth. When they don't want to bite, you got to show them something different, and that's what this bait right here does. So let's go ahead and go with probably everyone's favorite rig, And that's just the old plain Jane Texas rig, y'all. I like to pin my weight. Now there are some modifications that I like to do with the Jester. Is I'll take and trim the top of the head off here down to the first set of legs, so that weight fits flush right there with that body. Just make it as streamlined as I can. But the hook of choice here is an EWG 5/0 hook. That 5/0 hook's going to come right out there at the back. It's still going to give you enough gap when they bite down to drive it home. But everybody knows what a Texas rig is. So right there, the Texas rig definitely is a staple way to fish our 4 1/4 Jester. Let's move on along here. I'm going to show you kind of a funky rig here real quick. What are you doing here? That's a screw lock hook. Yes, it is a screw lock. That's a screw lock frog hook. Now you could use a weighted screw lock hook, a non-weighted, but I like to take and fish this with a weighted or non-weighted right over top of grass mats and pads. It's something that these fish have not seen before. Now, you're going to ask, Larry, does it float? It does not float. This will sink. So you need to keep that rod tip 10, 11 o'clock position and keep that bait popping across those pads, walking across there, and you never know. This could catch your next PB using the 4 1/4 Jester as a frog on a weighted or non-weighted screw lock hook. So 5/0, y'all, 5/0. Don't forget that 5/0 hook. So let's move on around. Now, you're like, Larry, you're doing the same thing here. Well, a lot of folks want to use a smaller hook. So a buddy of mine, Cowboy, he said, Larry, man, you can use a straight shank flipping hook or a smaller EWG hook. All you got to do is kind of trim the back of it out here and cut it straight across right here at the legs, and you can really thin that bait out so you can use a smaller hook or a straight shank flipping hook if you want to. But he showed me that, and I was like, you know what, I got to show the folks this. But keep a little bit of meat there for that offset, that EWG hook, or you can keep a little bit of meat there for that straight shank flipping hook that you want to use to help it pull through the grass just a little bit better. But these baits can be modified so many different ways, and while we're talking about it, if you don't like all these tails sticking out here, trim the 2 outside off, trim these 2 off, and only have 2. So you can modify this bait to meet your needs on how you want to fish. But I just want to show you what Cowboy does with his, and he uses a straight shank flipping hook. I didn't have any available, so I just showed it to you on an EWG real quick. Moving on. Oh, wobblehead, yes. And look, we've done it again. We cut the back off of it. Yes, we did, to give us that little bit more of a bite gap for a smaller wobblehead presentation. But if you haven't used old wobblehead with a football dragging across those rocks, you might be missing out on something, y'all, on that 4 1/4. But there you go, old wobblehead with the 4 1/4 Jester. I don't think anything else needs to be talked about it. Just take it out, let it hit the bottom, and start reeling, and you'll feel that thing dragging, poking along there on the bottom. How'd y'all like this? How'd you like that sound there? So right there, 4 1/4 Jester on a wobblehead. Trim that back out if you want to also. Moving on, Tokyo rig. Well, Larry, Tokyo rigs are gone. That hype's been over with. Okay, yeah, if you say so, that's fine. You don't have to use the Tokyo rig, but the weights on the Tokyo rig, whatever you want. All right, I like to use a bead. I should have probably turned my bullet weight over so it would clack more as I'm dragging it through the rocks. But right there, 4 1/4 jester on a Tokyo rig right there. Get around there, leg. But that's our orange crush color right there. Let's go on across. Now I'm going to wait to show you this one here because Bass Geek, he done a video on our ditch lobster using the Omega tackle head, and I'm like, man, I need that shaky head from Omega tackle because it's got that wide gap. I haven't got them in, so I'm just going to show you on a regular shaky head. That wide gap hook that Omega makes is going to make the 4 1/4 jester on a shaky head a very dangerous bait off those ledges and off the end of those points. So once I get that Omega tackle, I'll be doing a short video showing you what it looks like, but definitely the 4 1/4 on a shaky head. What about old Nico rig? Yeah, you can Nico rig it too, and you can see the O-ring right there. Right there's the O-ring. That is an EWG 1/0 hook. There's the nail weight, but you're going to have the larger bait container, O-ring holder for larger baits, so you can shove that in there and roll that O-ring down. But definitely on an old Nico rig for the 4 1/4 jester. And last but not least, but one of my buddies told me about this. He says, Larry, put the jester on an underspin. I'm like, what? Are you nuts? He's like, no, do it. 5/0. Rig it vertical. And I'm like, are you serious? So I done that, and I went out and looked at it, and I'm like, huh, I kind of like that. But you're like, Larry, you're missing 2 tails down here because the underspin, this willow leaf, kept getting into the tails here. So I made a modification, and let me just lay it out here on the table for you. So you got that underspin that's going to run right back here. This willow leaf's going to spin. The tails ain't going to get in the way. So maybe a little different presentation on something those old finicky fish have not seen before is the 4 1/4 on an underspin. All right, JBros family, there it is. The 4 1/4 jester, 12 different ways to fish it. Do you have another way that you would fish our 4 1/4 jester? If you do, please put it in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Tell me how you'd rig it, hook size, all that kind of good stuff. And we'll see you on the next one. But this is all things 4 1/4 jester. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Y'all hit that subscribe button. And like I said, it was a little long-winded today, but we're going to go ahead and get off here. But hit that old notification bell, subscribe button, and see what we're going to be talking about next Monday. Y'all have a great day, and we will talk to you later, JBros family. Love ya. See ya.